Enclave is an action RPG released in 2002 on Xbox and developed by Starbreeze Studios, which are known nowadays for Payday. Have you heard about Payday? We are two already and they're making a third one. The game is labeled as a third-person action RPG, but to be honest it feels more like an hack and slash. And it might not be very flashy today, but at the time, those games' graphics were amazing. I mean, look at those particle effects, the way the projectiles are bouncing against the wall, look at the light, look at the shadows, this is really amazing. To sum up the important part of the world history, it's basically you have an evil demon that wants to control the source of magic that is protected by a bunch of elves. Wait, that's a different game. Just let me check. So you have a bunch of elves that protect the source of power, and there is an evil demon that wants... no, that's the same story. So basically, thousands of years ago, the evil demon Vatar covets the source of power that is protected by the elves. And you can see Vatar is actually a girl, because I can tell you I've seen many women's genitals parts in my life, and this is definitely how it's supposed to look. I haven't slept for 3 days after saying this, please. Why did they do that? What the fuck is wrong with them? So the demon Vatar is pretty badass, but in order to become invincible, he needs to suck. He needs to suck all the magic from the lands where the elves live, because that's where the magic is coming from. So what he does is that he gathers a large army of orcs and goblins and shit like this, and he tries to invade the sacred land of Selenheim. But what happens is that the mighty wizard slash sorcerer slash destructor Zale comes out of nowhere, and during one of the final battles uses gigantic power and completely destroys the world and create a giant rift all around Selenheim, which makes it an enclave. I mean, you can't see the hair code that I'm doing, but Enclave, like the game. Oh yeah, and Vatar, the big boss demon, fell into the rift and is supposedly dead or something like this. The chasm created by Zale is so big that nothing can cross. So after centuries we're left with the following geopolitical situation. We have the land of Mekelon, where lives the ancestors. They're basically elves and I guess humans. Their leader is Alecto. Yeah, that face. And they have pretty much abandoned magic and now rely on technology. Even developing airships, even though they are pretty much Romans. On the other side of the sea you have the Outlands, which are populated by the Tregatar. It's basically a group of evil RPG villains. You know, goblins, orcs, sorcerers, leashes, you know, kind of stuff. They are led by Mordesa, and we're left with Selenheim's, the land where magic resides. Inhabited by the elves, and all the good RPG nice guys, the humans, the halflings, the goblins. No, there's no dwarf in this game. The land is ruled by the elves. The queen elf is called Heilindel, and this monstrosity here is Jacindra, her virgin daughter. I'm just saying that because it's important. She's kind of a jerk, but I guess you kind of enjoy what happens to her later in the game. After millennia, the chasm between the Outland and Selenheim starts to close. The earth is healing itself, and at some points you can cross this big rift. And so what's happening is Mordesa, our good nice villain, is making an army of orcs to attack Selenheim and possibly resurrect Vatar and get the source of all magic powers. So your goal in the game is pretty much cross the chasm from Selenheim to the Outlands, go through the enemy lines and go beg the ancestors for help, because if they manage to resurrect Vatar and get hold of the magic powers that reside within the land of Selenheim, everyone in the world is pretty much screwed, because the bad guy wins. Yeah, definitely. I know you have a really important question right now. How is Mordesa so sick? Because that's a really important question. How can someone so evil be at the same time so thick? Well, she's wearing steel platform shoes, and they're not hollow. That's how you get thick, I guess. I really like when a game just has a strong logic, and that makes sense, you know? So what's so great about this game other than the graphics? First, the music is amazing, composed by Gustav Grefberg. She's a Swedish composer, and I would say that that's really a soundtrack that you have to listen to. Like, I'm just gonna give you a few seconds to listen to some of the songs that are in this game, but god damn, she's good. Now, what surprised me the most in this game is the story. It doesn't sound like it's really out of, you know, just nothing really crazy. But they made the game in a way that you start and you play on the light side. So you play the good guys, Selenheim, you know, the elf, the human, etc. trying to save the world and make sure that they don't get Vatar back and that he will kill everyone. And that's pretty great. But then once you finish the game on the light side, you can do it on the dark side. And the bad guys win, and you see the perspective of the story with the bad guys, but they win, so you see like a battle when before you won. Here you see what happens when the bad guy wins and what are the consequences. And that's amazing. I really like what they've done with that story. It's not all like mirrored. You have some different places that you go, it's not all the same because you follow a story. And that's really, really interesting, and I wish many more games would do something like that. But god damn, this feels great to be like, oh, this is what would happen if the bad guys win. And the bad guys win also. That's something we don't have that much in video games. Now, what sucks about this game is the hitbox. It's awful. It's terrible. I mean, look, like, just like slow this down and let's see how many times I hit the enemy but it's not registered. That's insane! That's insane! And that's just melee combat, but look at what happened when you use a bow or a crossbow. Yeah, it just flew right through them. Yeah, I have to aim at the knees if I want to be able to kill my enemies when they're running towards me.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee!
I really like this game, and you can see that it aged in a way. I mean, you can see that it's an old game look, like the warrior is having tribal tattoos. And if you finish the game at 100%, you unlock
Fetisha the Fetishist.
So here we go. I just wanted to talk about this game that I like. I just found it on Steam for a couple of euros. That's insane. And it's nice to play a good old game like this. If you haven't played it, the story is nice. Especially, as I said, the perspective on both the good and the bad side. It's a bit clanky, the hitbox are not great, but it has its charm, and once you get a hold of it and you know how to play it to be effective in your fighting, that's fine. You will enjoy the game. I will play it on my channel, I really want to play it. I don't know if I will play all the game or make a montage of the best moment. We will see, but be prepared for more Enclave coming.